Sack Street's back. All right. As you know, Sack Street's always back. You thought it was gone, but it's here. Carlsen winning in the final round with a piece sacrifice. You thought Carlsen wasn't the type who would do it. Oh, he is. Oh, he is. Very typical in these kinds of structures. Knight takes g4, getting connected past pawns. Take, take. And the funny part about this, the funny part about Sack Street being back is that the way that white needed to draw was to sack back. So let's see what happened here. Bishop f3, okay, good blockading attempt. It had been a pretty good defense by Arjun in this game. Bishop h3, bishop h5, getting the bishop outside of the pawn chain, trying to come in here. g4, okay, the pawns are moving. The pawns are moving. Carlsen is not winning. It should still be pretty holdable by this stage. Okay, knight e2, bringing the knight over. Possibly some Sack Streets back over here with the knight. Okay, pinning it, bishop f1. Queen d1, hitting the bishop. The bishop moves away, bishop to g2. Bishop to g6. Knight to g5. Okay, around this stage, bishop f5 would be a pretty reasonable move. It was played a couple moves later. All right, that's fine. Knight b to c3. Okay, so let's say we don't block the diagonal and go knight takes here. Take, take, bishop g2. Okay, that's Sack Street right there. Now we have ideas of queen d4. So let's say take, 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 and now we have queen d4 with the threat to the knight as well. But the point of sacrificing the piece back is after knight f6, queen takes f4, black's king is way too weak, so it's going to be a draw. Sack Street, it's back again. You thought it was gone, but it's back again. Hate to break it to you, but it's back. It's here to stay. So that's just the nature of chess. You got to play piece sacrifices sometimes, and when those pawns get really, really nasty and devastating, you have to try to get in the way of them. Sometimes you got to sack right back. You know, the street's back, so what can I say? All right, bishop f3, pinning the knight, queen to f1. Notice how Carlsen wins this. Notice how Carlsen just very slowly keeps edging his way forward. King to g7, hitting the bishop. Bishop to f5, queen h8. This is very fascinating, the queen dance he does here. So he goes queen h8, then he later goes queen a8. Knight takes f4. Okay, there it is. There's Sack Street right there. Take, bishop takes, bishop f6. The one problem with that is that it did allow black's bishop to go onto the long diagonal. That could be a very serious problem because now there are always going to be ideas of moves like, for example, queen a8, queen coming down here. This can get very devastating. So one of the only drawing attempts for white right here is to try to sneak in c5 somewhere, but it's just kind of hard to orchestrate that. For example, queen e1 and c5 is one idea. He goes queen c1, and then knight f7 is played, defending the knight. Knight b5, hitting c7, and Carlsen just goes queen a8. And queen a8 is a little bit devastating because of the queen a4 ideas. So this is getting right to the point where it's not going to be possible to defend. White tries a practical move. He goes e5. I would have just taken with the bishop, but Carlsen went d takes e5. Okay, so this did open up knight to d6, bishop to d2, knight to d6. Yeah, knight takes c7 was an option, but there's always queen a4. So potentially taking c7 was the best defensive idea, but in a practical game, it's really, really hard to deal with this kind of pressure, these passed pawns, you know, the two passed pawns over here on the other side of the board. He tries take, take, bishop g5, queen h8. Here comes the queen swooping in, bishop e3, hitting b6. Carlsen just ignores it, goes e4, bishop takes b6, queen h2. Yeah, now it's looking especially devastating. Pulls the bishop back with bishop to g1, hitting the queen to e2, and there's not much to do here. I mean, notice, have to keep an eye on b2, and there's also queen to d3 check. So after b5, queen to d3 check, white actually resigned. If queen to c2, there will be queen a3, and yeah, this is very bad news. So I understand why he resigned right here. So pretty powerful stuff from Carlsen, but you got to know, Sack Street's back. All right.